Welcome to Occult Archives, where we uncover the mysteries and myths and legends behind history's most feared books.
From mystical grimoires to ancient religious texts.
Yeah, these books carry secrets too dangerous to be read.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Are you ready to turn the pages of the unknown?
I am.
This is Season 1, Episode 20, The Book of Enoch, The Lost Prophecies of the Fallen Angels.
All right, let's do it.
Let's dive in. We are taking a deep dive today into the Book of Enoch,
Okay.
which is an ancient Jewish religious work
Mm-hmm.
ascribed to Enoch, the great-grandfather of Noah.
Right.
And this is one you might not find bound into your standard Bible.
It's not in there.
Because it's considered non-canonical
Right.
by mainstream Judaism and most Christian denominations.
Yeah.
When we say canonical, we're talking about books considered divinely inspired and authoritative
Right.
within a specific religious tradition.
Yeah.
So the Book of Enoch, while incredibly important and influential,
Yeah.
didn't make it into that official canon
Right.
for most Jewish and Christian groups,
Yeah.
but it does hold a very significant and revered place
Yeah.
within the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church,
It does.
where it's part of their canon.
Right.
So, and for this deep dive, we're going to be focusing on the parts of the book that deal with fallen angels
Okay.
and the impact they had on the early world.
Right.
We've got before us excerpts from a scholarly edition of the Book of Enoch.
Okay.
And our mission today is to understand the key narratives within the Book of Enoch
Right.
regarding fallen angels and their actions
Mm-hmm.
and the consequences that resulted from that.
I like it.
And we're drawing directly from the text.
Okay.
So let's unpack this.
Let's get into it.
One of the first things I think that's really fascinating is the context
Mm-hmm.
of hidden books,
Right.
or what are known as apocryphal texts.
Right.
It seems like there was a distinction made
Yeah.
historically between scriptures that were publicly read
Mm-hmm.
and those that were kept secret,
Yeah.
reserved for the wisers.
Right.
And you see the books of Daniel and 4th Ezra mentioned in this regard.
Interesting.
So what do you think about this distinction between what's public and what's secret?
Well, it makes me think about like mystery schools.
Oh, yeah.
And this idea that there's
different levels of initiation.
exactly
Yeah.
that, if you're not ready for certain information,
Mhm.
it could be harmful to you.
Or dangerous, even.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's
And so what's fascinating, too, is how the term apocrypha
right.
gradually kind of took on a more negative connotation.
Yeah.
Because the orthodoxy of these hidden books was questioned
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes associated with more esoteric circles.
Yeah.
So what's your take on how this term has evolved?
Well, I think it's really interesting how, something that was once seen as sacred and hidden,
Mhm.
for the elite or the initiated,
Right.
becomes, almost demonized
Right.
or seen as something dangerous.
Heretical.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's almost like a flip.
A total inversion.
Totally.
And when we talk about, Protestant Bibles,
Right.
the Apocrypha typically refers to 15 works,
Okay.
mostly of Jewish origin,
Mhm.
found in the Septuagint,
Right.
which was the Greek translation of every Hebrew Bible.
Right.
So even though some of these were originally written in Aramaic or Hebrew
Yeah.
in the land of Palestine,
Mm-hmm.
they weren't included in the Jewish canon.
Okay.
That was more formally established later
Right.
in the 2nd century AD.
Okay.
So the reformers, in line with this later Jewish canon,
Right.
didn't consider these books to have the same level of authority
Yeah.
as the rest of the scriptures,
Right.
which led to them being separated out
Mm-hmm.
or even removed completely in some Protestant Bibles.
Interesting.
But the Catholic view,
Right.
as it was defined at the Council of Trent, takes a
Mhm.
different stand.
Okay.
They consider 12 of these 15 works
Okay.
to be canonical scripture
Mm-hmm.
and refer to them as the deuterocanonical books.
Got it.
But the Book of Enoch, with its very kind of vivid and sometimes startling focus on fallen angels,
Right.
stirred up a lot of controversy
Right.
across the board.
I can imagine.
The text reminds us that a later church, Father Flastrius, actually went so far as to condemn the Book of Enoch
Oh, wow.
as outright heresy.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just Christian leaders.
Right.
The rabbis aren't fans either.
Oh, really?
We learned that Rabbi Simeon ben Jochai in the 2nd century AD
Okay.
actually pronounced a curse on anyone who believed in it.
Oh, my gosh.
Talk about a strong opinion.
That is serious.
It really highlights how contentious this book was throughout history.
It does.
So this book was denounced,
Wow.
probably banned from being read or copied,
Mm-hmm.
possibly even burned in some instances,
Yeah.
and it essentially faded from mainstream awareness
Wow.
for 1,000 years.
1,000 years.
But, as our source puts it, with an uncanny persistence, the Book of Enoch resurfaced.
It came back.
Not 2 centuries ago?
Interesting.
You can't keep a compelling or controversial story down forever.
No, you can't.
So it's interesting that despite this later widespread rejection,
Yeah.
many influential early church fathers actually held the Enochian writings in high regard.
Okay.
They approved of them, they supported them.
Interesting.
We're talking about figures like Pacian, Irenaeus, Clement of Alexandria,
Right.
Tertullian, Origen, Lactantius, and several others.
Wow, some of the big ones.
Yeah, and figures like Tertullian actually quoted directly from the Book of Enoch in their own writings.
Oh, wow.
And considered it to be a genuine and important prophetic text.
Interesting.
It really shows a very different perspective
It does.
on the book in the early centuries of the church.
Right.
And then fast forward to the 20th century, a major turning point arrived
Yeah.
with the discovery of Aramaic Enochian texts
Oh, wow.
among the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Yeah.
So imagine the thrill of uncovering those ancient texts
I know.
after centuries of being lost.
Amazing.
This really changes our understanding of this whole period.
Yeah, it does.
So this discovery prompted the Catholic scholar J.T. Millick
Okay.
to undertake a really comprehensive historical study
Right.
of the Enochian writings, which included very meticulous translations
Okay.
of these newly found Aramaic fragments.
Yeah.
And Millick's book, which was published in 1976,
Okay.
is widely considered to be a landmark achievement
Right.
in Enochian scholarship. And he's regarded as one of the leading experts on the subject.
Right.
His work has really been instrumental
Yeah.
in pushing back against earlier arguments that question the book's historical authenticity
Right.
and its antiquity. It seems like the scholarly consensus is increasingly leaning towards
Yeah.
recognizing the book's ancient origins.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense.
So it seems like those arguments against the Book of Enoch are slowing but surely losing ground
Yeah.
as more archaeological and textual evidence comes to light.
Fascinating.
And shifting to a more speculative realm,
Okay.
our source even touches upon the intriguing idea of Enoch's potential future return,
Oh, wow.
drawing from spiritual interpretations
Okay.
of the Book of Revelation.
Right.
So specifically looking at Revelation 11,
Okay.
there's this prophecy of 2 witnesses reappearing. And some interpretations strongly link one of these figures to Enoch
Interesting.
and the other to Elisha.
Okay.
The prophecy describes them delivering a powerful 3.5-year reprimand to the world,
Wow.
dressed in sackcloth as a sign of their somber message.
Yeah.
And the narrative goes on to describe their martyrdom,
Right.
their miraculous resurrection after 3 days,
Right.
and then their subsequent ascension into heaven.
Wow.
So it's quite a dramatic potential future
It is.
for someone who, according to Genesis, never actually experienced death,
Right.
but was taken by God in the first place.
Taken up.
But let's steer back to the core narrative.
Okay.
Within the Book of Enoch itself,
Okay.
focusing on the fallen angels,
Oh, right.
the text doesn't hold back
Yeah.
in its condemnation of those who have strayed from God's commandments. It quotes Enoch directly, saying,
Okay.
"But ye have not been steadfast, nor done the commandments of the Lord. But ye have turned away and spoken proud and hard words with your impure mouths against his greatness. O ye hard-hearted, ye shall find no peace."
Oh, my God.
So what do you make of this?
Well, it's definitely a very strong warning,
Yeah.
against those who have turned away from God.
Right.
It's interesting, this idea that they've spoken proud and hard words against his greatness.
Right. It almost seems like pride
Yeah.
is being singled out.
Totally as a major sin here.
Right.
Yeah.
And the consequences for this unsteadfastness are laid out in no uncertain terms.
Right.
Their days will be execufated,
Wow.
meaning held in utter contempt.
Right.
Their years will perish.
Mm-hmm.
They face eternal abomination with no hope of mercy.
Wow.
Furthermore, the book states that their very names will become an eternal curse
Oh, wow.
invoked by the righteous,
Okay.
and all sinners will use them in their implications,
So it's like a...
like wishing the same fate
Yeah, it tastes...
upon their
yeah,
enemies.
heavy.
Following this powerful condemnation.
Right.
The book describes this pivotal event
Yeah.
that has huge consequences, and that's the descent of the angels,
Right.
often referred to as watchers.
Right. The Watchers.
So this wasn't just a fleeting visit.
Yeah.
This descent led to a significant increase in godlessness
Right.
and widespread fornication across the early world.
Wow.
It had profound and lasting repercussions for humanity.
So they really messed things up.
Yeah.
They did.
And they weren't just passively observing.
Right.
They were actively imparting forbidden knowledge.
Oh, wow.
You see this recurring theme here.
Mm-hmm.
This idea that certain knowledge
Yeah.
is deemed too powerful
Right.
or dangerous,
Too dangerous.
for humanity.
Right.
A concept that resonates even today.
Yeah.
When we think about discussions around, advanced technologies, AI,
Yeah, exactly.
Same idea.
the text names several of these watchers
Okay.
and the specific knowledge they're credited with teaching.
All right.
So we have Samjaza,
Mm-hmm.
who seems to be a leader among them.
Okay.
He taught enchantments and the practice of root cuttings,
Root cuttings.
which could relate to both medicine
Okay.
and potentially darker magic.
Oh, interesting.
We have Armaros,
Yeah.
who taught the resolving of these enchantments,
Right.
perhaps a counter practice.
Interesting.
Barakil is credited with astrology,
Mm-hmm.
Kokabel with the knowledge of the constellations,
Constellations.
Ezekiel with understanding the clouds,
Okay.
Arakiel with the signs of the earth,
Mm-hmm.
Shamsilo with the signs of the sun,
Signs of the sun.
and Serial with the course of the moon.
So they're giving them
So it's a pretty comprehensive
a
curriculum
lot of information.
Yeah.
A lot of forbidden arts.
of forbidden arts that are
Wow.
being handed down.
Wow.
And the result of this, according to the book,
Right.
was utterly devastating for humankind,
Right.
as mankind perished through this misuse of newfound and perhaps misunderstood knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Their cries of suffering and anguish ascended all the way to heaven.
So it was like a
Yeah, it was like a wave of suffering.
yeah.
And this unbearable suffering led us to the intercession
Okay.
of the four principal archangels,
Right.
Michael, Uriel, Raphael, and Gabriel.
Wow, the heavy hitters.
Yeah, they witnessed the bloodshed, the lawlessness, and the corruption
Yeah.
that had taken root on earth.
Mm-hmm.
Moved by the plight of humanity,
Right.
they took the pleas and the cries
Mm-hmm.
of these suffering souls directly before the Most High.
So they went to bat for humanity.
Yeah, they went to bat for humanity.
Wow.
And the book recounts their solemn address
Right.
to the Lord of the Ages,
Mm-hmm.
acknowledging his ultimate power,
Yeah.
his infinite wisdom, and his all-encompassing omniscience.
Wow, that's powerful.
They specifically brought to his attention
Okay.
the actions of Azazel,
Right. Azazel.
and particularly his role in teaching unrighteousness
Okay.
and revealing the eternal secrets of heaven
Mm-hmm.
that humans were striving to learn,
Right.
as well as the destructive actions of Samlazes
there was-
and his numerous associates.
Okay, so they're kind of calling out the ringleaders
Yeah, calling out the
of
ringleaders.
this whole rebellion.
And their actions were quite direct
Right.
and had immediate consequences.
Okay.
The Watchers, we are told,
Mm-hmm.
went to the daughters of men.
Yeah.
They slept with them. They defiled themselves.
Wow.
And in doing so, they revealed all sorts of secret sins.
So this
Unholy union, this mixing of the celestial and the terrestrial,
Mm-hmm.
resulted in the birth of a race of giants.
Okay, giants.
And as a direct consequence, the earth became filled with blood and unrighteousness.
So it was a huge mess.
Yeah, it paints a really grim picture
Yeah, it does.
of this early era.
Right.
The souls of those who were being killed and oppressed
Right.
cried out incessantly
Mm-hmm.
because of the lawless deeds
Yeah.
that were happening across the earth.
Mm.
Their lamentations ascended to heaven,
Right.
and we are told they wouldn't cease
Mm-hmm.
until divine intervention occurred.
So this was a huge crisis
Yeah.
going on?
Given this escalating crisis,
Right.
the Most High finally responded.
Yeah.
He sent the angel Uriel to Noah
Okay.
with a warning of the impending destruction,
Right.
the great deluge,
Right.
the flood that would wipe almost everything off the face of the earth.
Oh my God.
Uriel was instructed to tell Noah to hide himself
Right.
and to build a massive ark
Mm-hmm.
so that his seed, his lineage, could be preserved
Yeah.
for future generations,
Right.
essentially giving humanity a second chance.
Wow.
And the judgment that was coming wasn't just a general indiscriminate flood.
Right.
Specific punishments
Okay.
were also meted out to the fallen angels.
Okay.
Raphael, another one of the archangels,
Yeah.
was given a direct command.
Okay.
He was to bind Azazel hand and foot
Oh, wow.
and cast him into the darkness of Dudiel,
Dude, yeah.
which is described as a desolate, barren desert place.
Right.
Furthermore, Azazel was to be covered with rough, sharp rocks,
Wow.
and enveloped in perpetual darkness.
Wow.
His face veiled so he could never again see light,
Yeah.
all while he awaited his final judgment
Oh, man.
in the consuming fire.
Right.
Beyond the punishment of Azazel,
Right.
God also ordered the healing of the earth,
Right.
which had been so corrupted and defiled
Yeah.
by the secret teachings of the fallen angels.
Right.
This healing was meant to stop the plague of sin
Mm-hmm.
and prevent the complete perishing of mankind.
Right.
The text makes it explicitly clear
Yeah.
that all the sin and corruption that have taken root
Mm-hmm.
are directly ascribed to the teachings of Azazel.
Azazel.
So it's interesting that it's all put on him in that sense.
Right.
The book also offers prophecies of a future time,
Okay.
characterized by widespread righteousness and divine blessing.
Okay.
It speaks of the righteous who will escape the destruction
Right.
and go on to live long and peaceful lives,
Yeah.
blessed with numerous children.
Mm-hmm.
The earth itself will be tilled and cultivated in righteousness,
Okay.
planted with abundant trees and fruitful vines,
Mm-hmm.
yielding incredibly bountiful harvests.
Sounds lovely.
Yeah, it sounds like a paradise.
Yeah.
And in this time, sorrow, disease, plague, and all forms of torment
Right.
will be completely absent.
So it's like a
It's a stark contrast.
complete reversal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to that era of corruption brought about by the fallen angels.
Totally.
But Enoch's role in this narrative doesn't end there.
Right.
The Watchers themselves, recognizing his unique righteousness
Yeah.
and his connection to the divine,
Mm.
actually called upon him directly.
Oh, wow.
The Watchers, those angels who had abandoned their holy dwelling place
Yeah.
and defiled themselves through their interactions with human women,
Right.
they commanded Enoch,
Mm.
who they recognized as the scribe of righteousness,
Right.
to go and deliver a message to them,
Oh, wow. Okay.
a very harsh message.
Okay.
He was to declare to them the great destruction they had wrought
Mhm.
upon themselves and upon humanity,
Right.
and to tell them that they would have no peace and no possibility of forgiveness
Oh, wow.
for their transgressions.
That's pretty.
That's pretty heavy.
Yeah, heavy stuff.
The Watchers were terrified by this.
Yeah.
Fear and trembling seized them,
Right.
and they pleaded with Enoch to draw up a petition
Okay.
on their behalf,
Mm-hmm.
hoping that through his righteous intercession,
Right.
they might find a path to forgiveness. They felt so ashamed and burdened by their sins
Right.
that they could no longer even speak
Wow.
directly to the Lord of heaven.
That's.
So they needed Enoch
Yeah, they needed an intermediary.
to be their intermediary.
Yeah.
So Enoch, acting as their intermediary,
Okay.
diligently wrote out their petition,
Yeah.
which included their prayers for forgiveness
Mm.
and a plea for a long reprieve from punishment.
Right.
But the narrative takes a turn here.
Oh, no.
Enoch receives a vision
Yeah.
revealing that their petition would not be granted,
Wow.
nor would their own desperate prayers.
So even though they just.
Despite their weeping and pleading,
Yeah.
the consequences of their actions
Right.
were ultimately irreversible.
Wow.
Following this interaction,
Right.
Enoch experiences a heavenly ascent.
Okay.
He describes being taken up to heaven
Mm.
by clouds, thick mist, radiant stars, lightning, and strong winds.
Wow. That's quite a trip.
That sounds like quite a trip.
Yeah.
And during this ascent, he is shown
Right.
the specific judgment place
Okay.
that has been prepared for the fallen angels
Okay.
by the angel Uriel,
Okay.
who seems to be his guide in this vision.
Mm-hmm.
This is the locations
Right.
where the angels who formed connections with human women
Yeah.
will be held until the great and final judgment.
Okay.
The book explains
Yeah.
that even in this interim state,
Mm-hmm.
their disembodied spirits continue to exert a corrupting influence
Wow.
on mankind.
Those are still out there?
Yeah, they're still out there,
Wow.
leading them astray into offering sacrifices
Right.
to demonic entities.
Wow.
And it's also mentioned
Yeah.
that the women who went astray
Right.
with these fallen angels
Mm-hmm.
will ultimately be transformed into sirens.
Sirens.
So they also have a transformation
That's interesting.
into these kind of
Yeah.
mythical creatures.
Right.
Enoch's vision during this ascent
Right.
is presented as being uniquely comprehensive
Mm-hmm.
and all-encompassing.
Okay.
The text states that no other human being
Right.
will be granted the privilege of seeing the ultimate ends of all things
Wow.
as he has been shown.
So he's given a unique perspective.
A unique and privileged perspective.
Yeah.
Among the celestial beings that Enoch encounters,
Right.
the book identifies Gabriel
Mm-hmm.
as the angel who holds dominion over paradise,
Okay.
the enigmatic serpents,
Right.
and the revered cherubim.
Okay.
Meanwhile, Ramil
Yeah.
is designated as the angel set over those who rise,
Those who rise.
which is often interpreted as a reference to the resurrection of the dead.
Interesting.
So these are just glimpses
Yeah.
into this heavenly hierarchy
Right.
that provide these fascinating details about the spiritual realm.
Right.
Enoch also recounts traveling to a place of utter chaos,
Oh, wow.
a void seemingly devoid of any recognizable heaven or earth as he knew them.
Right.
In this realm, he beholds 7 radiant heavenly stars bound together, burning like colossal mountains.
Wow.
And he understandably inquired about this specific sin
Right.
that led to their imprisonment.
Yeah.
He also has a vision of a unique and fragrant tree,
Okay.
unlike any he'd ever encountered in the earthly realm. This tree possesses everlasting leaves that never wither, perpetual blooms that never fade,
Okay.
wood that endures eternally,
Right.
and beautiful, enticing fruit that bears a resemblance to dates.
Wow.
The Archangel Michael reveals to him
Okay.
that this towering mountain
Right.
is in fact the throne of God,
Wow.
and the fragrant tree is reserved for the righteous
Okay.
after the final judgment.
Right.
At that time, it will be transplanted to the Lord's holy temple, and its life-giving fruit will provide eternal long life and joy,
Okay.
free from any sorrow
Right.
for the elect.
So that's pretty amazing tree.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Further along his journey, Enoch is shown a blessed place
Okay.
situated in the very middle of the earth,
Okay.
characterized by trees
Yeah.
that perpetually bloom and flourish,
Okay.
signifying this constant spiritual vitality and divine favor.
Right.
And looking towards the end times, Enoch is granted a vision of judgment
Okay.
being poured out upon the wicked,
Right.
and the merciful offering their praises to the Lord of glory.
Okay.
So these contrasting visions underscore
Yeah.
the ultimate triumph of divine justice and mercy.
Right.
Enoch's travels then take him eastward
Okay.
into a seemingly endless desert, where he observes trees and plants thriving alongside water that gushes forth abundantly.
Where it's not.
He also encounters aromatic trees like frankincense and myrrh,
Oh, wow.
precious substances often associated with reverence and worship.
Right.
Later,
yeah.
he journeys through a valley filled with water
Okay.
that carries the sweet fragrance of cinnamon.
Cinnamon, nice.
These details kind of paint a picture of a world
Yeah.
imbued with divine creation and purpose, and his journeys extend over the high summits of mountains towards the east.
Wow.
And he's granted passage above the Earthrian Sea.
Okay.
He even travels beyond the realm of the angel social,
Socio.
highlighting this extensive and divinely guided nature of his travels.
Yeah.
And the breadth of the knowledge that he's receiving
Right.
within the divinely revealed garden of righteousness.
Right.
Enoch beholds a multitude of magnificent and glorious trees,
Okay.
including the profound tree of knowledge,
Okay. The tree of knowledge.
bearing fruit that possesses the power to grant great wisdom
Wow.
to those who partake of it,
Right.
and emanating a remarkable and captivating fragrance.
It's like the ultimate.
It's like the ultimate source of knowledge and wisdom.
Yeah.
His visions extend to the very ends of the earth,
Okay.
where he perceives the heavens resting upon the horizon,
Wow.
and witnesses the portals of heaven
Right.
opening in the east and the west. Through these gateways, he sees the stars emerging
Yeah.
and the winds proceeding.